What's up, everyone? John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here. Apple's 2011 WWDC keynote just ended, and I have 4 pages of notes in front of me, which is about 2.5 pages more than I usually have during these Apple keynotes. There was a ton of stuff covered, so let me go ahead and walk you through what happened. So we're going to go ahead and do this a bit differently. Usually the recaps are me facing this direction, talking to the camera. Instead, I'm going to use Techno Buffalo as my backdrop here so I can show you some of the images that we're talking about. If you see me look down, again, it's because I got a whole bunch of notes in front of me. All right, so it began with talk of OS X Lion. We began with a little bit of demos. They gave some facts on Macs in general. 54 million Mac users. Lion now has 250 new features. In order to upgrade to Lion, you are going to have a snow leopard, so you can't go right from leopard to lion. You have to go leopard, snow leopard, lion. That's a lot of leopards. A lot of more multi-touch gestures here. You can see more information here as well. You're going to have full screen applications, which is really going to be quite handy. You're also going to have a built-in Mac App Store. We obviously have that right now. I'll be able to do in-screen or in-app purchases, which will be kind of neat, sort of like those micro purchases you can do on your mobile phone or iPad right now. You're also going to have in-app push notifications, which we will talk much more about in just a minute. We've got Launchpad they talked about. It sort of looks like iOS type icons. They talked a bit about something called versions. You can see it right here. It's going to create a new version of a document each time it's opened, and it's just going to record the delta. And what the delta means is just the changes. You're not going to be stuck with a ton of different versions, but you're going to have really one version that has all the changes in it, so you're never going to be lost without something. Like, let's say you're editing a document, let's say hypothetically a term paper, and you forget to save it, and you're like, crap. Now you're going to have that option. AirDrop sort of lets you share files between computers. It's a peer-to-peer thing. Kind of neat. There's a new version of Mail as well with a ton of new features. I'm not going to get that much detail. New version of Mail. Yay! So Lion, interestingly enough, will only be available in the Mac App Store. No more discs. It's going to be available to purchase for $29.99, and you can use that for all of your registered Macs that you've got. So you only need to buy that one time. You can install it on multiple computers, which is kind of neat. No reboot's going to be needed to install, which is also interesting. It'll be available in July with a developer preview launching today. Now let's get to the meat of these 4 pages, and that is iOS 5. I'm just going to get it out of the way. There was no mention of an iPhone 5, an iPhone 4S. This is strictly iOS 5. Which will work on the same devices that iOS 4 fully works on. So it'll work on your iPhone 4, your iPhone 3GS, recent generation iPod Touches, and of course first and second generation iPads. So let's go ahead and get started because there is a lot to talk about here. First, 200 million iOS devices. You can get a bit of a preview of what we're going to talk about here. But 200 million iOS devices is a lot of iOS devices, considering there aren't that many platforms out there. They paid developers $2.5 billion, and that's with a B. So that is a tremendous thing. Tremendous amount of money. That's a huge, especially when you consider the 30-70 split. The big thing, and the one that I was so excited about, is new notifications. If you've ever used Android, this is going to be very familiar. You swipe down, and you get a huge list of notifications. They talked about how annoying those pop-ups were, so it'll be nice that that's going to be there. iOS 5 is going to give you 1,500 new APIs and 200 new features, highlighted, I think, by this notification. So you swipe it down from top. If you've got like an animation going on in a game, it'll sort of do a little swirly pop-up thing for you. Kind of handy. It's also going to have the notifications on the lock screen. So now the lock screen finally has some use. So when you unlock your phone or you want to unlock your phone, you can actually see notifications and you'll be able to jump right into what those are. Very handy. We're going on to page 2, Newsstand, which is essentially iBooks for magazines and newspapers. Pretty easy. Twitter integration. There is now a lot of Twitter integration. You can share with camera, photos, maps, and there's a single sign-in. Pretty handy right there. Safari, there's now something called Safari Reader. You can read all this stuff on Techno Buffalo. If you want to sort of get rid of all the ads on a site, You just want the word. Safari Reader is going to do that for you. Just the button, you hit it, you get it. Reminders now, which is now a fancy way to just say to-do lists. So you now have a built-in to-do list. There's a lot of stuff to talk about too in the next feature, which is reading list. It's going to give you the ability to read articles later. If there's a lot of stuff you want to read, you forget about it. Essentially, you can set yourself a reading list to go back and check it out. A lot of new features in the camera. There's going to be a new camera button on the lock screen, so you can jump right to it instead of having to hit the unlock button, swipe to unlock, go to camera, and take your picture. And if you do want to take a picture, you can now use the volume up button to take one, which is kind of neat. You can actually use the hard buttons on the phone. You can pinch to zoom on the screen. So if you want to zoom in, you could go ahead and do that. Feature that should have been there probably from day one. You can reduce red eye right on the phone now. You can actually do some editing, kind of handy. And you can also rotate it right from there. Let's talk about Mail, because a lot of cool stuff in Mail, and you can see this right here. You now have a split screen keyboard for typing on the iPad. I'm not sure how this is going to work, if it's going to be useful or not, but it is very handy. So you don't have to just type in portrait or in landscape anymore. Portrait, you can do a little quicker thumb type in action. Kind of handy. So updated keyboard, again, some updates to Mail. Something called PC free. So when you ordinarily, if you had bought an iPhone, you have to connect it to your PC first. No need to do that anymore. Super handy, I suppose. The next thing they talked about is Game Center. Oh, to back up to PC free, and now be able to get your software updates over the air. So yay! Just be on Wi-Fi though. Game Center. 50 million Game Center users in just 9 months, and they gave a bit of a dig at Xbox Live, saying it took Microsoft, they have only 30 million users, and it took them 5 years. So 20 million extra in a much, much less time. This is the big one now, I think a big one, something called iMessage. If you've ever used BBM or BlackBerry Messenger, as it's called, that's one of the big selling points behind a BlackBerry. It's got its separate SMS or MMS protocols built in there. Now, Apple's got an iMessage system built right in. So you're going to be able to send texts, pics, and videos. It's going to work on all iOS devices. You're going to get delivery receipts, so you can know when people saw it or not. You can see if they're typing in real time, so it'll say typing. You're also going to get, of course, the new push notification system. It'll work cross devices, so you can start typing something on your iPhone, switch on over to your iPad. It'll work on Wi-Fi or 3G. If you've ever used BBM, it's one of those things you have to really use to appreciate how it works. When I first thought of it, I was like, what's the difference between just sending a text? Really handy thing to have. So this is one of the things that I'm actually really, really excited about. Another cool new feature is AirPlay mirroring. So you actually can now mirror your iPad right on your TV with an Apple TV plugged in. So not just sort of pushing the video content. You can actually mirror the actual iOS right on your Apple TV. Before, you had to have it sort of plugged in with the HDMI cord, which will still work. You don't need an Apple TV if you're going to take that route. But if you do have one, now you can show all of your stuff. So probably a good thing for teachers. Something to be handy. You'll also be able to sync with iTunes over Wi-Fi. Kind of handy. I keep saying that, kind of handy, kind of handy. And that'll be coming in the fall to the iPhone 3GS, iPad, iPad 2, and the 3rd and 4th generation iPod Touches. All right, now let's jump into iCloud. There's so much to cover about. Apple announces iCloud. Here it is on Techno Buffalo, and there's a lot to talk about here in iCloud. First, it's going to store all of your content in the cloud and automatically upload it to all of your shared devices. It's going to happen automatically. It'll do it with your contacts, your calendar. There are going to be no ads. And even best and better, it's going to be free. iCloud will not cost you a cent. So all the stuff that you got with MobileMe, including the storage, you are now going to be getting for free. It's going to do backups of your device over Wi-Fi, kind of neat. There's also going to be iCloud syncing of pages and keynote and numbers. So if you start a document, you can edit it. Not that fancy. Something called Photo Stream. So iPad, Apple TV, iPhone, iPod Touch will be able to sort of stream all your photos. They'll be kept in the cloud for 30 days unless you put it in an album, in which case they'll be stored there for much longer. The next big thing is iTunes in the cloud. If you purchase a song on one device, you can download it at no additional charge to any other device. So if you think about that, if you bought a song on your iPad, you can actually download that same song for free right to your desktop or your iPhone or iPod Touch. Handy, I suppose. There'll be a new purchase tab in iTunes on your device, mobile devices, so you can see what you've bought in the past and you can re-download it again. It'll do that all automatically. It'll be in high quality, 256 kilobytes, AAC, all DRM free, and it'll do that for up to 10 devices. You're going to get 5 gigabytes of mail storage. iCloud is launching to developers beta today. It'll be shipping with iOS 5 this fall. We also now have iTunes in the cloud I talked about. That'll be an iOS 4.3 beta available today as well. And the big one more thing that we've been hearing about for quite a while is something new called iTunes Match. And what iTunes Match is, first it's going to cost you $25 a year. It's pretty much what everybody had been expecting. It's going to take all of your music that you've got on your computer. It'll match it up against iTunes' big library in the sky, and automatically take that music and upload it to the cloud so you can download it to any of your devices for free. It's going to do that in that same 256 kilobytes per second high quality AAC. So if you've got a lower quality version, it'll automatically upconvert it for you. And all this will be done in minutes, supposedly. So it'll go through your whole library, give you the ability to download the songs in just minutes. And it'll be $25 regardless of how many songs you have. So if you have 2 songs or 20 million songs, or whatever number of songs iTunes has, if you have every one of them that's been bought supposedly legally through iTunes, you'll be able to get all of those right there. And that was the gist of it. That was 4 pages of notes. So a lot of stuff happened. There's a lot of things to go through. Be sure to check out Techno Buffalo for all the news. Also E3 stuff you can see coming up here. There's just a lot of action coming. A lot of photo booth stuff, gets full face mode tracking in Lion. Just a lot of really cool features. Be sure to check them out. I need a break. Hope you guys enjoyed. What features are you most excited about? I am John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo, and I'll see you in the next video.